Hello, YouTube world, everybody else, anybody who's watching this. I was planning on doing a video soon on my issues I have with the AAA side of the video game industry. But today, the recent interview by Miyamoto of Nintendo, which I ran into recently, where he laments the increased desire of game designers to emulate movies, really has motivated me to get this video out tonight, which I link into it. If you look down below in the description section, you'll actually see a link to it, and I think it has some valid points there. Now, let me touch on a number of issues, and I've raised some of these before with my Gamergate stuff like this. One of the issues I have is the wannabe filmmakers are using video games as an outlet for storytelling. These are amateurs that really just don't do it. You'll see generally people say stories suck because people aren't into it. Anybody really has remote talent ends up being like Ken Levine, goes into Hollywood, write a book. It's not a good outlet for doing games anyway. And I know people took umbrage at what Miyamoto said, which he pretty much said when you see the video, that when you're doing a story in a video game, what you end up doing is you need to pretty much have the player experience it, and the player's the director. In short, you don't tell a story, a player can experience the story. For me, the video game side, if you're going to go into the adventure side of things, which I call adventures, and as you know, I've defined games as something a little bit different. You've seen that before on article on Play I had. Yeah, I pretty much defined it as something different than that. But anyhow, let's call them games. That one ends up being much more like the holodeck at this point here. You can have a narrative in the background that does it, that drives. But if you try to directly tell, interaction gets totally cut. Anyhow, there is a lot of things on Ludo Narrative. You can go look it up. I'm not going to put a link below on it. There is a second point I raised, was that the video game industry has an envy of Hollywood. They try to have a business model like Hollywood, but without box office. This is unsustainable. It's led to practices of putting DLC on discs, getting people to buy an engine, and pretty much keep selling content to them. And people are getting complaint about it. I mean, there's other things too where you're cracking down on the rental industry and a lot of other issues here. Third issue, and you see a list below. In the description, I actually go into this down there also. You have a lack of innovation. The AAA industry tries to throw everything in the kitchen sink into a game, a AAA side. Tries to have appeal, runs large marketing campaigns and everything else. And there will be a tendency on AAA side to treat play mechanics like tropes and over-rely on them and think you can make it up with increased production value. That is not something that actually ends up leading to much interesting game. It gets to be very stale. Byproduct of this, because the whole story-driven and high production value is, I hear this, it annoys me. Situation where you have players going off and saying something to the effect of, oh, X hours of gameplay. Oh, I got 10 hours of gameplay, 20, 30 hours of gameplay. Oh, that was great. You know, if I go to old school old school board game, for example, stuff, and you've seen the stuff I'm putting up here. Buy a chess set. How many hours of gameplay are you supposed to get out of a chess set? It's an entirely different animal. You buy a movie. Oh, well, I got 5 hours of good watching this. It's a very bad measure by which to do it. You use the rationalize compared to movies. I mentioned another issue was the Fox tribalism that you have going on with fanboys and consoles and everything else. Really that, and trying to come up with a, quote, gamer culture, which is really annoying. I mean, it's tiring on the AAA side for that. I mean, back in the day, we did have console wars and everything else, but it really wasn't to the same level we have it today. The internet's really made things horrible. But on AAA side, it's particularly bad. Anyhow, that's my take. Last final point. I'm sure I'm missing some. I'm going to go across like this here. Let's be honest. There's next to no real journalism in the video game industry. None. Gamergate says the scandal and corruption. There is not any at all in there. There is no real journalism. There might have been some people who actually did things and possibly reviews, but actually covering it. Not really. Maybe you'll see in Business Week and stuff. Maybe you'll see a little bit, just because there's so much money going in, even though the industry is skating on thin margins. You get you get people who try to do objective opinions who aren't sold out, but you get a lot of fanboys blogging who have agendas in the console wars. You get product placements, and you get things like people trying to buy, people to buy specific brands of soda, specific brands of chips, and Jeff Keighley. I consider the Jeff Keighley problem particularly problematic, and they should do with that anyhow. You can check the link below on what I mean by Jeff Keighley. And by me saying this, I'm going to ruin it. Yes, that was an attempt at a joke that probably failed miserably, but anyhow. Check the link below. That's about it. I'm going to check out tonight, and just to let you know what's coming up, I have another video. I want to explain what pretty much Classic Games Redefined means in this channel in a little bit more detail. I'm going to give you the purpose of it and what I'm trying to go for here. May possibly look to get that out tomorrow. I also have some chess variants I'm going to do. Done cards, that'll just be a few chess variants. I might come back to check those later, but I've done plenty of games, and there's a website called chessvariants.org. Go check it out. That's the latest from my end. And thank you for watching, and may your die always roll 5.